All right, we'll start second Board of Adjustment meeting. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call again.
Coors.
Here.
Rosengren. Here. Mill. Present. Lessline. Here. McDonald. Here.
Okay, any amendments or removals to the agenda? If not, I need a motion. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now we're reviewing the request to allow chickens on the property of Samantha Johnson's. We'll start out, we'll open the public hearing. Something I wish I would have done on the last one right from the start was to once again apologize for the amount of time that it's taken to review this. The application was filed on August 9, 2012. We've just been trouble getting to things. Anyway, if you would like to speak on your behalf, go ahead.
I would. I don't think I'll speak so long because I didn't bring the judgment certified for a lawyer, so. Can you guys hear me? Okay?
No.
You got anything? Sorry.
All right. I think my voice sounds funny in microphone. Let me just tell you a little bit about our family and how we ended up with chickens. We decided to move to Logan, Iowa in June of 2007 is actually when the purchase of our property closed. The first thing we were attracted to in Logan was the school. All of you know that we have a lot of kids, and the quality of the education that they would get, that they would receive, and where they would go to school was very important. So once we got sold on the school, we started looking for a property in Logan. We specifically did not move to the country because of certain needs of some of our children. We were afraid that that would isolate them, that it would put them too far from civilization, from things that they would need access to, such as a drugstore, a grocery store, things like that. So my husband found a piece of property that he called the best of both worlds, which was, all of you know, the old Key house, the old Key property up there, where it's in town, but it's basically a little farm. It has a detached garage. On the back side of the garage was a chicken coop that was built very nicely, very secure, with a cement floor with 2 cleanouts in it, and also there's a really nice barn. When we got there and moved in, I discovered, and I actually thought it was kind of funny, that there was still horse feed and horseshoes in the barn, and there was still remnants of chickens being there in the cleanouts. And I thought, well, that's kind of funny, because I didn't think that I didn't know if the Keys had them or what. We didn't know them, and we didn't really know anybody. But we immediately set about plans of putting in a very nice garden and getting the chicken coop ready for the chickens, which we had planned to get. For the reasons that all of you can imagine. That's the whole point of living in Iowa is, kind of getting back to the salt of the earth type living, growing our own garden, canning our own food, planting fruit trees, gathering our own eggs. I'm sorry I didn't know that how many of you there were going to be, so I just brought one picture. I figured this over to you. This shows a picture of both the outside and the inside of my chicken coop. That was when it had chickens in it. As you can see, I think it's a nice habitat for the chickens. They're very warm, and like I said, they're secure. We actually have our chicken coop behind a double fence. The inside, like I said, it's in an actually cement floor, 2x4 building, and there's a little trap door where they go outside to a place that has 360. It's covered on the top. My husband actually put some chicken wire across the top because we have owls that live in the oak tree over the barn, and they were looking like those chickens look pretty good, so we covered them up. And then the chicken coop happens to be inside the garden, so there's actually a second fence where you can see there the gravel area is the garden area. Anyway, we got these baby chicks in the mail. The Logan post office delivered them to us. We've always mail ordered them, and they come in the box, and of course that's a very exciting day, and we just have a little brooder lamp for them. We've been doing it for 5 years. We keep approximately anywhere from 10, I think, was the lowest we got down to. I think one time we were up to 15, and we immediately lost 2, so I think that put us down at 13. I like to keep that many because of the size of my family. That puts me at about a dozen eggs a day, and we can almost eat that. Not quite. We do sometimes gain a surplus, and when we have a surplus of eggs sitting around, of course, we just immediately share those with our friends and neighbors. And some people laugh at me because when they visit my house, I'm like pushing eggs on them. Please take some eggs with you when you leave, you know, because I don't want it to go bad. But like I said, we have kept this little backyard chicken coop without incident for 5 years. I have purchased most of my chicken feed during this period of time at Do It Best in Logan. I pull my big red van right up to the front and buy the feed, and Bill or his wife Chris would kindly carry it out and put it in the back of the van for me because I can't lift the bag, and we just haven't had any problems. To my knowledge, I don't think we've ever had any get out onto the street or anything like that. I can certainly understand people's concern with that, but I would think those are the same concerns with cats and dogs and children that we'll have, that we need to always be mindful about vehicles, no matter what you've got in your yard. During this time, during the 5 years, my daughter Savannah Johnson has been the primary caretaker for the chickens. We have a lot of kids, they all have their certain chores. That is her job. She maintains the coop exclusively, she cleans it almost daily. That includes sweeping, cleaning things up that need to be cleaned up. She keeps it very tidy, and also feeding and watering the chickens and monitoring their overall welfare. If she notices that there's one getting picked on or somebody having a problem or the girls aren't getting along, then somebody gets moved, you know, so there's no fighting. So everyone's feathers stay looking pretty. You know, things like that. Back in late spring, early summer, there started to be some complaints coming in to Elmer that I'm aware of. These complaints were politically motivated for reasons that I'm sure that all of you understand. At that time, Elmer did speak to me and told me that I needed to get a variance or something, and that I should probably go up the hill and meet the Hebes, who I had never met before at that time. They actually just lived 2 doors from us. If you just count doors, oh, 3, it's 3, I'm sorry, pardon me. But, you know, just right up the hill there. And because he's the one who told me that they were also going to have this trouble, or they were fellow chicken owners. And at I don't remember the exact day, I think it was August 10th, right after I had been on a 4-week-long vacation out of town. I filed my variance when I got home. I think it was the next day or 2 in the mail, I received a citation. And from that time until, it took me a few days, it took me I think 8 days to find what I'll call foster homes for the chickens. Of course, we did not want to part with them, but we felt like in the interest of keeping the peace that that's what we should do. So they are out on a farm in the country waiting to come home when hopefully we work this out. I have brought for you tonight a few things. One thing that I brought is letters of support from my neighbors. They're in here. I didn't make copies for everybody, but I'll just give it to you. Testifying that there has never been a problem, that they've never had a problem with odor or noise or anything like that. We've never had a rooster. We don't want one. And I do have some neighbors that came here tonight that would be willing to speak to you if you'll give them a moment. Bonnie and Lori Storm. Can they do that now?
Let them be with the
Okay.
regular public.
Okay. I brought another thing, just a little piece of anecdotal evidence. I understand that you're trying to do a very good job of working within the law. I completely understand that. I think you also understand that for us, the chickens are an emotional issue, that they have become pets, and that they are important to us emotionally in that way. So although this may, like I said, I respect the fact that you're trying to work within the rule of law, but I'd appreciate if you would just take a look at this. Dr. Hebe, I have a little story for you. Dr. Hebe had a chicken that was, I'll just say, sick. The details of it are in this little packet that I made for you. And my daughter and also her friend, Mike, were able to assist Dr. Hebe in performing a surgery on this chicken. And the chicken recovered and is actually doing really, really well. And it's a really kind of cool story. And I've made a little packet for you to read. And the neatest part of it, in my opinion, is that this story, along with the photos, are going to be published in this nationally syndicated magazine in their February-March issue. I think it's February-March, yeah. It's every 2 months. So I just think that's really cool, and it's a great experience, and it's good. It's good for our community to have these kind of positive stories. So let me just give all of them to you, if you want. think there's enough for everybody, except for maybe you, Jason. I'm sorry. So, I hear you talking about your ideas and kind of milling over what you can do and what you feel that you can't do, again, to work within the law. I understand that. I would just like to express to you that I think all of you at one time or another, Luke, I don't think you've ever been up to my house, but I think you know which one it is. I think all of you know that when you drive by, my coop is not viewable to the road. It's not something that we've ever hidden, but it's not something that we've ever advertised. It's way back on the property, way back behind the house. You don't see it. So even people that have lived here a long time are like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I drive by there every day. I didn't even know you had them. And like I know, Clint, I don't know if you knew that we had chickens or not, but I know you've driven down my driveway into the house to pick like your son up that's been over with my son, you know, playing airsoft or building something or whatever it is that they've been up to. So I do appreciate those of you who took your time to come out and look at the piece of property so you can get a real visual of what it's like, because I believe that I should receive a variance based on the fact that it is a unique piece of property in town. The house is set so far back, and the outbuildings are set back even further than that. And I didn't bring an aerial map. I didn't know if maybe you prepared one for your end of it, but you know how it is. It's really in the center of my 1.5 acres is where kind of my buildings sit. I feel that because it's a unique piece of property, that it does support the birds properly. And the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. I think just the very fact that we've had them there for 5 years and we haven't had a problem, we haven't had complaints or anything go wrong, or most people even know that they're there, shows that the property supports them in a way that's conducive to living in town where we are. But that it is a unique piece of property. I also have a second point that I believe I should receive a variance on. We have a legitimate medical need. I did bring with me a review and a note from a physician. I do not want to present that to you in this open meeting because I do not want it made public record. I don't want it used in the newspaper. I don't want it used on Facebook or anything like that. I believe that would cause harm. So I don't know how you want me to do that. I don't know if I can give it to you legally after the open meeting. I don't know if I need to mail it directly to the attorney. I would like all of you to see it, but I don't want it public record. It needs to remain confidential. What do you think?
At this stage, I'll take it and we'll work through it as we go through the meeting. I won't pull it out until
Are you sure? Are you sure that if I don't hand it to you, somebody's not going to grab it? And
You don't want it in the public.
Yeah.
You shouldn't give it to them.
I shouldn't give it to you, but I think that you need to see it to make your decision. So should I give it to the lawyer?
This is a public forum. If you want to keep it private, you need to keep it private.
that'd be the safest way.
Okay. Well, I think that I can probably send it to the city attorney,
Okay.
and that way then it will remain private, and I think you can converse with him about it, because it's a legal issue. It's a privacy issue, like a HIPAA issue. Anyway, I did bring my daughter Savannah with me here tonight, and she had some words that she would like to say to you. Would she be allowed, please, to say those now? Okay.
Well, as you can see, before my chickens were taken from me, I would go outside every day, first thing in the morning, and let them out into the garden for fresh air and some sunshine. During the rest of the day, I would go check on them to make sure they were safe, happy, healthy, and supplied with plenty of food and water. And every afternoon I would collect the eggs, which we sometimes would give to our friends and neighbors. By nightfall I would make sure that they were all in the coop, and then lock all the windows and doors to prevent any animals from getting in. Sometimes during the day I would even give them special treats such as the leftover parts of fruits and vegetables and sometimes the crust of bread. And whenever one of the chickens are being picked on by the others, I would separate her from them so her wounds could heal, or just simply for some alone time, just so she could feel better. But then we received a message saying that we could not keep them, and I was devastated when I first heard of this. And now that they are gone, it's hard for me to even look inside without feeling depressed. I don't know why the people of Logan would do such a thing. The chickens have never done any harm to anything or anyone. Please. I'd like to have my chickens back. To me, they're a family, and I've loved them ever since they were baby chicks. There are even a few that we named. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't really have, a lot else to add. Like I said, I would like to get this to the city attorney, and I'll get it to him as soon as possible. I'll possibly even fax it tomorrow, so he has your email it or something like that, so that you can discuss it with him. I believe all of you have access to him if you want to do that. And like I said, I have no problem with any of you knowing about this and working through it. I think it's extremely, extremely relevant information. It's just not something that I want published on the public record, so I appreciate that. If you have any questions for me, I'm certainly happy to answer them.
Just to clarify, your request is still to continue the backyard flock of 10 to 15 birds is still a request?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Samantha, I have a couple
Sure.
questions. How many acres do you have?
We have 1.5. Not exactly. It's close to that, but it's about an acre and a half.
My understanding, Jason, if you can weigh in here, if the solution we come up for Heves is to reclassify the property, rezone. But the house has to be still kept as residential, correct?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So there might be an issue where the resolution we have for the Heves doesn't work for you, depending on the issues related to how many acres it takes to be classified as agriculture. First of all, I think you should be commended for getting rid of your chickens now. I appreciate that. And working through the solutions. I don't know if the resolution we have in mind for the Heves will do you any good, is my concern. What do you perceive if you fail at this level? What is the next level?
Well, I think that, like I said, I think that I understand what you're saying about the actual physical property. That maybe what works for her legally might not work for me. I would appreciate I would take a temporary variance even so that Savannah can get her animals back while it's worked through. I think that the medical information is going to be extremely supportive of that and does not create a situation for you where you will have this fallout or this windfall that you're concerned of everybody wanting these constant meetings, because where you guys just feel like you'll be inundated with special requests. And I don't think that's the case for me, but
Have you looked into how other cities have dealt with poultry?
I actually have. Dr. Heeb actually helped the Lake City, Iowa, very recently, just in the last few minutes. She's still there.
No, she's not.
Write their new chicken ordinance that they just passed. And she has a good law that she actually helped them come up with. I looked at some others just online. Like, it was actually a shock to me that the city of Logan didn't allow chickens, because you can have chickens pretty much everywhere else that you can think of. I mean, there are some places that still don't, but you can have chickens in Omaha. As a matter of fact, I was out at One Pacific Place one day, and I cut through that windy neighborhood down there, that one that's really pretty, that's built like in the 60s or 70s, and there were some geese in somebody's yard. I had to laugh. I thought, oh, I get in trouble for that in Logan. You can have it right here, you know, Midtown Omaha. But some cities just have that it's just allowed as long as it's a non-commercial flock. Other cities are putting a limit on the number of birds per household. It's really kind of unique to each city. It's my personal opinion, in the interest of liberty, that the city should be as liberal as possible in allowing people to have their freedom to feed their families how they want and have their property how they want. I don't think it's one guy's business, you know, our business to tell someone what to have in their yard or not have in their yard, or what color to paint their house or not paint the house. And that's why I moved to a community where you can do that instead of a community that has CCRs and things that are restricted. But I have looked at those. I mean, the city of Beverly Hills allows chickens. The city in Manhattan, you can have chickens. In Las Vegas, you can have chickens. As a matter of fact, I have a friend who lives one block off the strip, and he has 3 chickens in his backyard. You know, so chickens are widely accepted in other areas, both as pets and as a way to kind of get back to nature and a way to feed your family, and for people who are, you know, economically. You can feed your chickens your table scraps, they eat insects, and they're also economical to keep in the coming times where I think the economy is going to be hurting. So I just think there's a broad variety of reasons and really good support. I did not bring with me any examples of any laws. It's my personal hope that the city council would change the ordinance and allow everyone to do it. I know that there are other people in town that have them. You know, my kids are runners. They run through town when all this broke open, and we discovered kind of, wow, they're illegal and we're going to get in trouble and what's going to happen. And my kids who run cross country said, well, there's like 5 or 6 people in town that have chickens. And I said, oh, well, I never thought about it. I never was concerned about it. But we're not the only people, we're not entirely unique. So it's my opinion that I would hope that the city of Logan would kind of get up with the times and change that ordinance. But in the meantime, I filed for this request because I was told that's what I needed to do. So I was I'm just ignorant as to the way the law works, and I'm just trying to just work through it. I filed for the variance, I got the citation, I fostered them out. We're just trying to work through it, but we very, very much would like to get them back. We are able to go visit them from time to time, so we know they're okay, but we would like to get about 10 of them back. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but okay.
All right, thank you. Jason?
All right, as we know, this property is, as far as Dr. Hughes, is a little different. It doesn't have the capability to be sectioned off as agricultural and residential. We don't have, right now, it's too bad we don't have an aerial map of what their property looks like. They do have about 1.44 something acres, but it's in 2 parcels, and there's still an old city alley that's legally running through the middle of it, but there's all their outbuildings are built on the city alley, which they would have a case as far as grand domain, or, you know, that it's been that way for years, but that's still something that would probably have to be cleaned up, you know, as far as the city would have to either abandon it, have to sell it, or they'd have to, you know, it's been that way for years. They have, you know, they have a leg stand that way. So even though it's 1 point something acres, it's still legally 2 smaller parcels, so it's not even a 1 acre, which, like I said, I think they could get that rectified. So it still falls down probably to the city council themselves would have to define what, you know, you know, what size of the lots. Most cities have a lot requirement, lot size, square footage. They have distance, of course, like I said before, that you have to be so many feet away from your neighboring residence, you know, and I guess most of them said somewhere between 30 to 50 feet from your neighbor. No, and stated for some reason, no roosters, things of that nature. But also with the smaller parcels, you run into the multiple outbuildings again, where you're only allowed, you know, so much on a square foot. You have to have so much green space. So, but with their lot, I mean, their property would definitely fall within your typical cities and, you know, other states that have chicken ordinances. You know, I mean, the way their property is now. But, like I said, you can't. They don't have the option for the agricultural rate. It's more, and the Board of Adjustments, they can't change city ordinances or zoning. You know, it's just, they can recommend, but they can't. They can do temporary, you know, of course, until such, but I don't, I guess there's just not as many options as opportunities, but there's.
Did the 1.44 include the alley already? If it was abandoned?
No, like I said, I think if you look, it's that and it's the 2 parcels and not the alley. Yeah. But, I mean, it's been that way for, their house was built in probably 1890 something, so I'm sure there was that handshake with the city, you know, councilman that this would never be, you know, developed and it's your property, but nothing was ever in writing.
Question for Jason? Okay, that interested property owners want to speak? Go ahead, thanks.
Monty Storm, live on 303 West 3rd, been there about 20 years now. And when they were talking about getting chickens, they asked me, I know it would make any difference legally or not, but they asked me if I cared if they had chickens or not. And I said, no, it wouldn't bother me a bit. And I didn't even know they had them for a long time. You never hear them. There's a privacy fence there. And I know it's always clean. So if they were to be granted a variance, I mean, my family and I would not have a problem with it whatsoever. And we are the closest neighbors to them. So, right up against it.
Thank you.
I'm Ross Heeb. I live at 524 West 4th Street. I empathize with you because I have served on a Board of Adjustment before, and I did 2 terms as a city councilman in the city of Yuma, and one of those terms I was deputy mayor. And it's my understanding when it's ordinances involved, that's the council's purview. I don't know why you guys are here, my lawyer notwithstanding. And when it's codes, that's what you deal with. Having said that, however, I would just point out from my own experience in Yuma, city of 100,000 people, we had provisions for people to maintain what we call hobby livestock operations, typically chickens, sometimes pigs, cattle. It was very interesting. The main concern there was to afford the opportunity for urban youth to participate in 4-H programs. It's amazing to me that in Logan, Iowa, your folks who live in town, unless they have friends or relatives who own farms, can't raise livestock and participate in 4-H. Whether it's rabbits, chickens, hogs, small calves, and then show them at the fair. I'm just nonplussed. The value of that, particularly in a rural community, is you can't place a value on that. Ultimately, I think this is going to come down to a resolution by the city council. They're going to need to deal with their ordinances to accommodate this sort of thing. You're concerned about opening a floodgate by setting an exception, and then everybody wants an exception. I would just caution you to have concern about not acting prematurely before we have a chance to really get before council and figure out where the city of Logan wants to be and what opportunities it wants to afford its citizens and its youth, and how it wants to compare to other cities that have had to act on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was asked but Rhonda Leonard gave me a letter that she asked me to read. I'm not going to use my phone. The issue I have that I wanted to bring up before was, I don't understand why it's before this group, because, as I said to me, variance to me implies building codes, and you have no power to give a variance on an ordinance, so I think you're before the wrong board to begin with. But Rhonda wrote this letter in opposition. She provided a copy for the record. And she used a lot of big words, which I may mispronounce. I'm an engineer, not a doctor. It says, we are contesting Sam Johnson's appeal to the Logan zoning ordinance to authorize a variance to allow chickens on their property located at 314 West 4th Street in Logan. We own the property directly across the street at 315 West 4th Street in Logan, and we are very concerned about the spread of disease, noise, and air pollution that will potentially affect our health and livelihood. Poultry are carriers of several diseases that can be spread to humans, either by direct contact with the birds or by inhaling the air in the areas where the birds are housed. Please see my attachments for information on the different kinds of serious and sometimes deadly diseases that can be spread to humans. I have also attached a letter from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment that was sent to Lawrence Humane Society regarding poultry being kept in backyards within city limits of Lawrence, Kansas. The Kansas State epidemiologist stated that he was very concerned for the health and well-being of citizens if this was allowed, and stated that he believed it should not be allowed. Another attachment is from the Illinois Department of Public Health regarding human health concerns about raising poultry in urban environments. They stated that besides the diseases that can be spread by the poultry, there's also potential to attract predators and rodents to the areas. These include stray dogs, foxes, coyotes, mice, rats, and raccoons. Then we will need to worry about rabies and various other diseases that these rodents and predators carry, such as Lyme disease, brucellosis, leptospirosis, and if I'm the virus, lymphocytic choriomeningitis, rat bite fever, salmonella, something or other, tularemia, and just to name a few. One of the attachments talks about the health risks of chicken manure, and it states that there are antibiotic-resistant bacteria waste will be disposed of. They have been videotaped throwing yard waste and dog feces into Milliman Park area, and who is to say that they won't throw the chicken waste in the park too? Will they then have their poultry and housing inspected by a veterinarian or Department of Public Health to ensure that the safety of the citizens, it's an incomplete sentence. When a citizen comes into contact with one of the airborne diseases or inadvertently touches something that has been exposed to the poultry manure or develops an illness, who will be in charge of finding out where it came from, and will the poultry owner be held liable? I believe the potential for health risks and other problems for the citizens of Logan far outweigh the benefits that Sam Johnson will receive by housing poultry in her backyard. I pray that the Board of Adjustments will reject Sam Johnson's appeal to house poultry in her backyard within the city limits and protect the health and well-being of citizens of Logan. And I think the point that comes up from her letter is that this is an issue that's much greater than just a variance. To me, this is where an ordinance needs to be addressed. And I don't know the validity of these issues because this is not my letter, but again, I just question whether this is the proper forum.
Pat, who asked you to read that?
I'm sorry, it's Mike Leonard and Rhonda Leonard, and they own the home directly across the street. I believe they're using it as a rental property.
And why couldn't they read it themselves?
Because they're not, my understanding is that they were going to be present, but the meeting was rescheduled, and it was rescheduled to when they had a planned vacation.
Others?
Terry Francis, 519 North 2nd Avenue. I think you probably did address this originally, that there is a distinct difference from the previous hearing as to the options that you would have for zoning. With that, and with what was just discussed here, I would suggest that the board actually take no action on this and refer it back to the council for some specific ordinance determination. One fact is, though, that I believe that the chicken coop is visible from the south end of Millman Park, which also West 3rd Street. So just for a little clarification on that. And I just feel it's unfortunate that the Johnsons did not check with the city prior to obtaining the chickens so that they could have saved their daughter the hurtful feelings that she feels right now.
John Mill, 504 North 2nd Avenue. My question would probably be why the Johnsons were singled out, might I say, and the Heaps were allowed to keep their chickens. Shouldn't it be all the chickens leave?
It's a question.
Elmer?
I don't think.
You have
You don't have to answer.
We have pending charges on it.
it's just the way it looks.
Well, the way it looks and the way it is.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lori Storm, and I live at 303 West 3rd, too. Neighbors to Sam and Skip and the kids. And we don't have any issues with those chickens either. And I don't really see how anybody can see the chicken coop from Millman Park either, because it's enclosed. We've never had a bit of trouble with it. Savannah has always taken care of them very well, and it's been one of her main hobbies. And I do feel, too, that the Johnsons have been singled out because they had to get rid of their chickens. Hebes were allowed to keep theirs. Sam and Skip were cited. And I know that, that the Hebes are working through that now too. And I'm not trying to point fingers, but, in all fairness, we need to treat everyone the same way. Thank you.
Samantha,
I would
more comments?
like to make just a few comments. Can I see a copy of that letter? That Rhonda Lynn's letter? It's
I guess just, what are you concerned about?
Well, I'm just trying to go through it. When she was reading it, I'm just trying to make mental notes of how I wanted to respond to it, and it's quite a lengthy letter, so I just don't want to miss anything. I guess the first thing that I would say is, raise your hand if Grandma lived on a farm. I understand that scientific list of microorganisms, but there's a scientific list of microorganisms regarding cats. Cats are probably some of the dirtiest animals we live with. Dogs, swab the inside of your mouth and see what's there. That's just fear-mongering. The chickens are no dirtier than any other pets. They're as dirty as you choose to keep them. Our chickens are as dirty as we choose to keep them, just like cats, dogs, and kids. It's like anything. And one of the points that she makes in the letter is who will monitor the condition of the chicken coop. Well, who monitors the condition of your dogs, or who monitors the condition of your kitty cat, or who monitors the condition of the hamster, or who monitors the condition of your yard? This is America. We're self-monitoring. That's what we do. We're not a police state where people go around monitoring things all the time. That's a silly suggestion also. And like I said before, I think the proof is in the pudding. Rhonda has owned the property across the street. When she bought it, she and her husband showed up. I took her a plate of cookies. Those cookies were made with my chicken eggs, and she did not get sick. Okay? My chickens have been there for 5 years. They have never made anyone sick, and my children are in close contact with them all the time. And a couple of you that are maybe know me from school or something know that I love my children more than anyone else in the world loves their children. And I would never put them in a situation where they would become ill or sick. I'm joking, of course, when I say that, but when you're a mom, that's how you feel. I would never expose my children to anything that would make them ill. So while scientifically those microorganisms may be found, it's just fear mongering. Those things are found all around us in our environment all the time in the way that we choose to live. And we all had chickens from Grandma's farm, and I was raised on a quite a large cattle ranch in California, and I'm perfectly healthy. I've had pigs. I'm perfectly healthy. As a matter of fact, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Rhonda Leonard has pigs. Yes?
I have no idea.
I think she lives on a pig farm. She has pigs. And you know, those smell a lot worse than the chickens. But you know what they say in Iowa? That smells like money. And the chicken coop is as clean as we choose to keep it. And I know some of you have visited it, both with and without chickens. It's probably worse now because Savannah no longer goes out there. So it's not tended anymore. The chickens left and that was it. It's just like a graveyard now. There's nothing going on out there. But I'm trying to think of what else is in that letter. That I think while it's scientifically true, it's just fear-mongering. Rhonda has been on Facebook because she is opposed to the actions that my husband has taken on the city council since probably June. If you want physical evidence of that to prove that these concerns and fears are politically motivated, I can get you screenshots of all of her comments since June. I just hope that you guys just have the wisdom to see through that. I actually really appreciate Jim Edelman's comment because I know that there are other people in this audience also who disagree with what's going on in town politically, but they have the clarity of mind to be able to separate this issue from that and see that that this shouldn't really have anything to do with that, and yet I believe that that's what's happening here. Rhonda's house, it's a rental house, straight across the street from us, like I said. She has placed no chicken sign in the yard, and it directly faces our house. The only person that can see this sign is Savannah, has a direct view of it from her bedroom. It was simply put there to harass us, like the Facebook page and like some other things that have happened to my children and my family. But I think that issue should be kept separate, but I believe that letter is poisoned with her opinion of our family and not a legitimate health concern. I'm trying to think of what else is in it. I don't know, I can't think of anything else right now. I would just like all of you to just take a step back and just really consider what that is saying. If that's the argument that she's afraid that they're dirty and that the chicken germs are going to blow across the street, you know, they need to go into every home in Logan and take their cats away, and take their litter boxes away, and take their dogs away, you know, and the hamsters and all the other things that have cooties. I mean, it's silly. It's silly. We all eat chicken eggs. We're all fine. There's probably a bigger chance of getting sick from unwashed lettuce in a restaurant than getting sick from your backyard chickens. And I think we all know that. Of course, there's always risks to life, but you be smart, you keep it clean, you wash your food, you wash your hands, you're okay. That's my response to that.
Thank you. You're a little late, John. Sorry. Okay, with that, we're going to adjourn the public hearing and open our regular meetings. Okay, we'll go around again. Anybody got comments? Throw in on this.
I think it all stems from what's happening on the council. I think the whole chicken thing is, my God, all of us have been around chickens. They used to have, I don't know how many years ago it was for sure, but in my neighborhood, one neighbor had a cow, one neighbor had a hog, and my mother had chickens. So it's just always been that way. And I don't say it's right now, but none of us died from it. We kept it clean.
Comments, concerns?
I'm still under the impression it needs to go back to the council. That the council needs to come up with whatever solution it is for this, if there is a solution. It's not us granting variances, one-offs every time somebody wants to have a chicken.
Clint?
I think Luke's point is very valid. At this stage of the game, because we tabled the previous motion, I don't see how we can't also table this one and give a chance for that process to work. I guess I'm not comfortable right now granting or not granting the variance.
I agree with that.
Okay. Make a motion.
I'll make a motion and table it.
Second? Clint, second. Ethan? Roll call vote.
Coors,
Aye.
Rosengren, Mill, Lessline,
Aye.
McDonald.
Okay, with that, need a motion to adjourn? Clint moves. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thanks. Thanks for being so good. Thank you.